Sci-Fi-Night, where we talk about random topics that somehow relate to sci-fi and horror. Alright, well if there's one thing we learned from last year, is that certain media entities really took the world by storm. No, not that, but kind of, I guess. 2017 was kind of a rough year for certain companies, but for those called Netflix, Disney, and of course Marvel, they seemingly dominated the market. One thing Marvel has always done very well is build up the cinematic universe and make all the films and locations connected in a natural and realistic way. This despite the fact that some of those places don't actually exist, but Marvel sure do a good job at painting them up as real places.
Shut up and get to the point!
So with the upcoming blockbuster Black Panther taking place in the fictional African nation of Wakanda, and me being a total geography nerd who loves maps and flags, let's take a look at some of the other made-up nations from the pages of Marvel alphabetically, so we'll save Wakanda for last. Alright, we're starting off with another African nation, Genosha, first appearing in Uncanny X-Men number 235 in October of 1988. Genosha is situated off the southeastern coast of Africa, north of Madagascar and northeast of the Seychelles. Its capital city is Hammer Bay and has an estimated population of around 16 million. Oh yeah, and this country has one hell of a flimsy looking flag with a light purple background and a weird red symbol in the middle. The land was colonized in the 16th century by Europeans, changing hands between the Dutch, French, and eventually Great Britain, who Genosha gained independence from in the 1960s. The main language is English, they use the Genosian dollar, write in the Latin alphabet, and it's a well-developed nation with a strong economy, somewhat reminiscent of real-world South Africa, but substantially smaller. And that nation is actually a great comparison because Genosha was in very many ways an allegory for slavery and also for South African apartheid, as the nation was built up by enslaved mutants forced into labor. The leaders of the country even tracked down and captured mutants who fled their land. The leadership was eventually overthrown and the UN gave the country to Magneto, and to the surprise of nobody, a civil war eventually broke out, as well as more problems that followed. In later issues, Mutant X creates an entire country and calls it New Genosha, but let's not get into that. In the first X-Men film, Genosha is remade from an island nation to an uncharted small island off the eastern coast of America, which isn't nearly as interesting. The same use of Genosha also occurs in X-Men 3 to the same unnecessary effect. Alright, let's move to Europe for the next entry, the Kingdom of Latveria, first appearing in Fantastic Four Annual number 2 in 1964. Latveria is located in Eastern Europe with Hungary to the north, Serbia to the east, the fictional country of Simkaria to the south, and Romania to the east. Doomstad is the capital and we use the Latvian franc as the currency, and the population is kind of open to debate. Last time an outside census was permitted, the population was around 500,000, but no internal observers have been allowed there for over 2 decades. The flag is one of the most villainous looking flags ever, dark green background with a northern style black cross with red outlines and what is basically a doom symbol in the center, and I'm sure it's no surprise to anyone that Fantastic Four villain Dr. Doom is from Latveria. He is also the leader and dictator of the nation, and they use the Latin alphabet. The natives speak Latvian, which is a local Hungarian dialect, as well as German and English as a second language. While relatively poor, Latveria does have a strong military, employing several robotic servo guards built by Dr. Doom. Latveria became sovereign in the 14th century after that 2 local lords captured some Transylvanian territory. It became part of the Ottoman Empire in the 16th century, and later part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire in the 19th century after the defeat of the Turks. After losses by the Austro-Hungarian Empire in World War I, Latveria once again gained independence. Victor von Doom took power following his family in the last quarter of the 20th century, and employed a strong military presence and even annexing the neighboring country of Rotruvia and causing problems for the entire region. Doom was eventually defeated several times in 7 different incarnations of both comics, film, and cartoon, And as of now, in the Marvel Universe, Latveria is on a slow and rocky road towards democracy.
Never, ever, ever again, it's a resounding no.
Next up, we've got the tiny South American republic of Santo Marco, first appearing in X-Men number 4 in 1964. The location of Santo Marco is kind of open to debate, as different storylines have placed it in different geographical locations, but let's just go with a Marvel Atlas for this video. Santo Marco is situated on the eastern coast of South America, bordering French Guiana to the west and Brazil to the east and south. The only interpretation of the flag I can find is a pretty damn boring one, consisting of a reddish-orange background with a white Old English style M in the center. There is no mention of a capital city, and this small country is estimated to have a population of less than 200,000, however these estimates are questionable. Spanish and English are spoken as main languages. They use the Latin alphabet and the Santo Marcan peso as their currency. Santo Marco was founded as a Spanish colony in the 16th century and changing hands between the Dutch, Portuguese, and French. This was until the early 19th century when General Alejandro Montalva seized power, achieving independence for the country at the cost of its democracy. After several decades of dictatorship, the people of Santo Marco overthrew Montalva, and after installing a democratic republic, Felix Navidad was elected for president, and while peaceful to his own people, he was extremely hostile towards mutants. This led to Magneto once again seizing control of an entire nation, and eventually being driven out by the X-Men. This led to another era of dictatorship when General Luis Agustin took power, employing genocidal techniques for eradicating anyone with mutant genes. He was eventually replaced by democratically elected Emilio Duarte, who wasn't much nicer to mutants either, and Santo Marco hasn't really been very relevant since. Alright, we're returning to Europe for the next nation, the Republic of Sokovia, and contrary to the other entries on this list, first appearing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as well as probably being the most well-known made-up Marvel nation so far. The nation's borders are actually not quite clearly defined. Avengers Age of Ultron make it out to be more in Central Europe, around Slovakia. Some interpretations place it near the southwest border to Ukraine, and some have it sandwiched between Romania and Serbia. The capital city is Novigrad. They use the Cyrillic alphabet, speak Sokovian, most likely related to the Slavic languages, and the flag uses the pan-Slavic colors with blue, white, and red, and a golden eagle in the center. Notable people from Sokovia are the Marvel Cinematic Universe versions of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. The population and history of the nation are pretty undefined and unclear, but this fictional country is so well known for being the battle place between the Avengers and Ultron. And for basically the entire country being broken afterwards. Not a whole lot is known about Sokovia after this disaster, but chances are it's one hell of a place to film a post-apocalyptic movie.
Well, were you napping?
Alright, let's finish off with the most interesting nation on here, the Kingdom of Wakanda, home of a superhero Black Panther. This majestic country first appeared in Fantastic Four number 52 in 1966. Once again, the location of Wakanda has varied quite a bit through different incarnations of the story, but since the upcoming film is bringing the nation to light, let's go for Marvel Cinematic Universe version. Wakanda is a landlocked nation bordering Kenya to the south, Uganda to the east, South Sudan to the north, and Ethiopia to the northwest. Birninzana is the capital and largest city. They use the Wakandan dollar, the Latin alphabet, and the main languages are Wakandan, Yoruba, and Hausa, though English is widely spoken as a second language. Wakandan history began over 10,000 years ago, where its natural culture has developed in a somewhat isolated location. The population is unspecified but believed to be around 6 million, and is made up of 18 different tribal groups, and there exist several different religious cults devoted to their ancient deities, one of which is the Panther cult. In the distant past, a giant meteor filled with a valuable element vibranium crashed there, and yeah, you know, that's what Captain America's shield is made of, which has helped the country flourish financially. Due to these large vibranium deposits, Wakanda is one of the most advanced nations in the world, using secret technology unique to them, which they're very wary of sharing with the rest of the outside world, which also gives off an impression that they're not quite as advanced as they are.
What do you know about Wakanda?
It's a third world country. Textiles, shepherds, cool outfits, all front.
Though vibranium also contains mutagenic properties which have strongly affected the nature and wildlife in the region, making the country even more unique. To those looking in, Wakanda might seem like your standard poor African country, but since vibranium is sold for $10,000 per gram, they've built up a unique and self-sustaining infrastructure, with a society focused on technology and education. They have a strong military and a pseudo-tribal society where the king, the Black Panther, rules it. While the leadership might seem hereditary, the title can actually be challenged by any Wakandan citizen, and the winner of a ceremonial battle will take over rule. All Wakandans have access to some of the best healthcare and education in the world, and they had already dispatched spy satellites long before the Americans and Soviets even finished constructing their space programs.
Surprise, motherfucker.
And I don't know about you guys, but in between military dictatorships and complete instability out of all these nations, I would definitely rather live in Wakanda. Wakanda forever! I, for one, can't wait to find out more about this fictional country when Black Panther comes out, and I'm a real sucker for fictional countries and geography. Nerd! Which is why I'd like to recommend two YouTube channels for you. The first is Geography Now, whose Wakanda episode actually inspired this video, and the second is Alternate History Hub, as it brings up many interesting fictional historical events as if they were real. Both of them are really good, check them out, just be sure to tell them I sent you. So that about does it for this episode of Sci-Fi-Night Light. We hope you enjoyed it. If I missed your favorite fictional Marvel country, let me know what it is in the comments below. Are you excited for Black Panther? You should write that as well, and as always, I'll catch you guys next time.
They'll come for him. Let them try.